Well, hello again. In this second part, we'll be focusing on the rest of the tenses, that is, a combination of either tense or modality plus aspect. And something I didn't mention before, but I think it's important in this first lesson that is on the verb phrase, the finite verb phrase, we'll be focusing only on form, that is, the activities that I suggest you do by the end of the video. We'll be focusing only on form. They are rather simple and they are kind of a drilling for you to practice the form of the different tenses. Now, let's go with the following combination, which is past tense plus simple aspect. So the form of the past simple is rather simple. It's going to be the ed form for the regular verbs or the irregular verbs that take the form that is in the second column. Now, the conjugation is the same for all the persons, so that's easy. And the negative is formed by adding the auxiliary, the dummy operator did in this case, which takes the past tense, and then the main verb is going to be right in the base form. The question is formed by inverting the auxiliary and the subject. Did he walk? The meaning is at that time, past time. The following combination is the past progressive. So we have the auxiliary that is marked for the past, and that is the auxiliary for the progressive aspect. And once again, the main verb in every progressive tense is going to be in the ing form. And over here we have a distinction. So in the present tense, we have three forms for the verb be: am, is, and are. But in the past, we have only two: was and were. And the was does not in the form of was does not coincide with I, you, with they, but with the singular persons I, he, she, it. Whereas where coincides either for the singular or plural you were, and then we have we and they, which also use where. The negative is formed with the auxiliary and the operator over here wasn't coming. And once again, to form the questions, which is invert the auxiliary and the subject. And the meaning is in progress during that time, the past time. Now, if we combine past tense and the perfect aspects, we have the auxiliary that is marked for the past, had, and the auxiliary for the perfect aspect which is have, plus the participle of the main verb. The conjugation is rather simple: had for all the persons, hadn't in the negative, had she been for the question. Remember this: the ed form for regular verbs, or the third column of regular verbs, right in the main verb. The meaning is before that time, past time. So this is past within past. If I had already showered when the lights went off, I have finished showering when the lights went off. The showering happened first, and then the lights went off. Okay, I hadn't showered when the lights went off. That means that I didn't take a shower, and the lights went off after that. So I didn't have the chance to take a shower. And one last past tense is when we combine the past tense with the perfect progressive aspect. Of course, we have two auxiliaries: the auxiliary for the perfect aspect, the auxiliary for the progressive aspect, and the main verb is going to be in the ing form, the participle. Now, the auxiliary that marks tense is always the first one, had, yeah, and then the auxiliary in the middle marks the progressive aspect. I have been waiting, she had been working, I had been waiting, had she been working, and the meaning is in progress during before that time. Now, what we're going to see as regards future tenses is the combination of the modal will to form the future time reference together with the following verbs in the corresponding aspect. Now, future simple is formed with modal will plus the following verb in the base form. Remember that after modal verbs, we use the bare infinitive. So I will have a glass of water, not I will to have, I will having, no. I will have a glass of water. He will go. The conjugation is the same for every person. Remember that models are not marked neither for tense nor person. The negative form is formed by the auxiliary and the operator not, which we can join fuse, and we get won't. I won't go to the party. And the question once again, we swap the auxiliary and the subject. Will you help me here? The meaning is at a certain time in the future. For the future progressive, we are going to have the model to form the future time reference, to have a future time reference, and the auxiliary for the progressive aspect, which is be, will be, won't be, wills are be, and of course the main verb in the ing form. The meaning is in progress at a certain time in the future. And the last two tenses that we will deal with are the future perfect and the future perfect progressive. We're going to use these examples. The conjugation is the same, will and will for every person. Then we have the auxiliary for the perfect here, for the perfect aspect, will have, and then the main verb in the participle form. In this case, it's radars. That's why we have the ed. What we have here is the model to form the future time reference, the have for the perfect aspect, been for the progressive aspect, and baking for the margin of the progressive aspect with the ing in the main verb. Of course, been takes the participle form because we have the perfect aspect here. So we'll have been baking bread tomorrow by 6. If you want to translate it into Spanish, you would say something like habrá estado horneando. Okay, something like that would be. Now, um, I realized well, just a moment ago that this example was wrong, but well, basically, once again, the negative form is formed by fusing or sometimes not. Okay, the auxiliary with the operator will not, won't. The meanings are before a certain time in the future for the future perfect, and in progress until a certain time in the future for the perfect future perfect progressive. Now, what I have here are some suggested activities for you to do. These activities, you can find them in your booklets. These are the page numbers, and you can also find them, that's the very same activities, in the extra practice material. If you go to page, for example, 166, you will find the theory or, yeah, some extra details that I didn't talk about to be able to complete these activities. So on page 174, you're going to find the theory for these activities and the rest. Remember, these activities focus on form. That's why they are pretty mechanic, sort of a drilling for you to work with.